Hey Tarot Tribe, it is Dustin from A Modern Metaphysic Man, and I'm super excited because my Sola Busca tarot deck, Tarocchi, um, came in the mail today. This is a really beautiful collector's edition that was published in 2016. It is currently out of print, so I'm really sorry. um, but I was just so excited I wanted to share it with you. So it comes in this really cool box that's handmade. It has like corrugated material on the side, so it looks like book pages. Um, it is super, super cool. And inside, it comes with a book. So Giordano Berti is the producer of this, the publisher. So you get a little white book that is pretty simple. It kind of has like a catalog of the other decks that come in this set, which is kind of cool. There's some different ones in there. They're all historical decks. It also comes with a handwritten note that says, "Dear friend, what you got today is a very special quote game." The tale. Wait, no. The Sola Busca Tarot is the game of. Oh boy. Is the game of the something in life holding to something in his hand, and other times sometimes on, so it's sometimes on and sometimes off. I hope you will be able to use these 78 picks like a touch and illuminate your steps. All the best. And then it's signed by the creator, which is really cool. I'm gonna have to decipher that later. Good old cursive handwriting, right? So inside, the box is lined, which is really nice, with velvet. And we'll set this over to the side here. So it's out of the way, and it comes in this satin gold bag, which is nothing mind-blowing. Actually, I'm a little disappointed by it. It's pretty cheap. I'll be perfectly honest. But the deck inside is anything but. So the first card you get is your kind of certificate of authenticity. It's signed by pen, which you can feel, and it also gives you the number. So this is number 546 out of the 700 that were printed. There are 700 of the book version, and then there's also an edition of this deck that just comes in a standard lift top box. So there are some of those still floating around, I'm sure, if you're looking for it. But the deck itself is amazing. It is on really, really good quality cardstock. Like, holy crap, it feels so nice. The backs are the traditional Sola Busca backs from, well, it's like a replica of the back, and then the artworks themselves are reproduced directly from the deck that is in the museum in I believe it's in Milan, Italy. Just so you have a comparison, here's the full card from the Smith Rider-Waite Centennial Edition, and as you can see, the cards are to scale to the original Sola Busca deck, which is really cool. So they are nice and big cards. I like big cards, and I cannot lie. So yeah, it's a stunning deck. It's a deck that I've kind of lusted after for a while, and so this was a early Christmas treat to myself, courtesy of my grandmother, which I will always treasure this. So yeah, let's start flipping through it. So the artwork that is in this deck, this is often referred to as one of the historical decks that heavily influenced the Smith Red or White deck and the Thoth Aleister Crowley deck, just because it is one of the actual first decks that fully illustrated the Pip decks. A lot of people say that Pixie was the first to do that. Well, she wasn't. There was a little guy in Italy, back in, what was this deck? This deck was created in 1491, who happened to do it first. And you'll see that Pixie did actually take a lot of influences from this deck and from the symbolism found in a lot of the Pips. So yeah, we'll get through this. So we've got the Fool. There's a lot of symbolism in this, and you'll also notice that the major arcana isn't quite the images that we're used to seeing, i.e. our mage. And our High Priestess. As you can see, it's just different aspects of this character. But it's all original art, which is just wonderful. It is so beautiful. And there is a lot of symbolism in this. It's a deck that I've really only just begun to research, because I started researching it, and then when I went to go buy a copy of the deck, they were all out of print. And they were all ridiculously priced. And I snagged this off of eBay for about $100 US, which I was pretty proud of. And it's totally worth it, in my opinion. Like, I would have paid that retail. And it was brand new, completely sealed. Before the video, I did remove, there was cellophane plastic wrap around the deck, but nobody likes watching that, so I removed that. So yeah, they're just awesome. This card is a little disturbing, mainly because it's this guy like holding a baby over a fire. The card is titled Nero, and the description in the white book is, a man throws a baby in the flames. Yes. Great injustice, great sorrow is the keywords. Inextricably vengeful spirit, blind violence, aberrant thoughts or actions is the sort of description for it. So as you can see, like, there's a lot of different meanings and characters and depictions of things, but then there are familiar ones that we'll see going through those. Palco, Ventiva, 11 is Julio. A man meditates in the night. Cold. Kato. And Bacho. It's 14. 15. King under the sun. Old man evokes spirit. This is kind of like the hermit card for the deck. king scans the sky. So a lot of the trump cards in this deck are all based around like royalty and things like that. 20 Ninbroto, a man struck by lightning. And then 21 is a king set in the ground, threatened by a dragon. So the trumps are not the standard major arcana that we even find. I mean, if you look at, for example, which I did get recently, and I have yet to do a walkthrough of, but I will fairly soon. This is Il Melegro's Tarocco Sopraffino from Milan, from 1835. So it's about 100 years later. It's more of a Marseille deck, but as you can see, we have your standard sort of major arcana. So, I'm really interested in digging deeper into the majors in this deck and learning more about why they differ from a lot of the other decks, historical decks of the time, and things like that. And then the suits, we get into your Pip cards, and this is the thing that initially drew me to it the most, is when I found out that this really was the basis of a lot of Pixie's art in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. That there was influence taken from this deck, and that it was one of the first decks to really fully illustrate a lot of the Pip cards, which I thought was really cool. And I am a huge Renaissance art buff. I love Renaissance art style. So when I started researching this, I was like, oh, I have to have it. And then, of course, it was all out of print, so I just kind of held off. And now that it's here, the research will commence, most definitely. So we have the suit of M. Fiore, which is the suit of cups. We have the suit of discs, which I believe this is the discs. This is the ace of discs. We have the suit of clubs, which are wands, and the suit of swords. So we have our one of discs and our two of discs, and you'll see there's a lot of sort of similarities. I mean, look at this little guy, this little chibi guy who has got this huge like backpack thing on full of discs. You know, there's a skull in here and a couple of flowers. There's a lot of symbolism in Renaissance art, and I'm definitely gonna spend a lot of time researching the cards and researching the symbolisms, not only in symbols and tarot books, but I do have all of my art history books from my Renaissance of Art History classes when I did my undergrad in art. So I will be referencing those a lot as well. So 4 and 5 and 6, very similar. You can see the craftsman aspect in the 6 of coins, or discs in this case. 7 and 8, 9 and 10. And then we get into the court cards, so page. Now these are very, very stereotypically Renaissance. Knight, queen, and king. Then we have our cups. Ace of Cups and our 2 of Cups. 3, 4, 5 of Cups. Ace of Cups, 7 of Cups, 8 of Cups, 9 of Cups, and 10 of Cups, which isn't your standard like rainbow over the sky, happily ever after card. But this guy looks pretty happy. It's like, look at all my cups. I got lots of phases here. We have our page, our knight, who is winged, our queen, and our king. Then we have our clubs, or our wands. And I love the little cherubs in this deck. They're great. This card's a little odd. He's very anatomically interesting in this region. I'm not sure what's going on there, or why the artist depicted things in that way. It's, yeah, interesting. But we got our 3 here, and our 4. Got a 5, and our 6 wands, 7, and 8, our 9 of wands, and then our 10, and our page, our knight, queen, and king. And then we get into our swords. So the card that really sort of piqued my interest when I saw it initially was the 3. And that's because it is very, very, very Rider-Waite-Smith. So if we take a look here at the Tarot of A. Waite, and maybe it actually might be interesting to do a comparison video of this deck and this historic deck. As you can see, right, there is very much a similarity and you know, a direct correlation between. You can really see the influence that Pixie got from this deck, which I just think is so cool. It's so cool. So yeah, 4 swords, just super pretty. And the 5, and the 6, which, you know, it's different, right? Like, here's the 6 of swords from RWS. It's a little different. It almost looks a little bit more like the 7, which is interesting. It's our 7 and our 8, our 9 and our 10. He's looking pretty disheveled there, right? His butt's hanging out and his underwear is being shown, and he just looks like he's been, you know, rather defeated in the greater scheme of things. And then our page, our knight, our queen, and our king. So yeah, the art in these is just, it's just so cool. I love Renaissance art, and there is so much symbolism, ancient symbolism in this deck. And the thing is there are a lot of correlations between you know, symbolism in the modern decks and ancient meanings, but for Renaissance artists, things were put in certain ways very specifically and for very specific reasons, because the masses, for the most part, didn't know how to read, right? And on top of that, if you were someone who was in the court, you were obviously able to read, but you were also highly educated in symbolism and the subtleties and differences between certain ways that artists depicted certain things. So I'm really excited to sit down and really dig in deep with this deck and really research it well, and who knows, maybe I'll do a video series about it one day. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this short little flip through. I was just super excited that it came in, and I wanted to sort of flip through it and show everybody, and I hope you enjoyed, and as always, remember that everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about, so be kind always. Thanks, guys.